Welcome to another episode of Microsoft Knowledge Nuggets. I'm Mirko Peters. Today, we're looking at a hidden problem inside Dynamics 365 Sales. You open a deal record and see emails, tasks, and meeting notes. Everything looks active. But what if the customer has already stopped talking to you? Here's why that matters. Your email sits in Outlook. Your calendar keeps your meetings. A phone call might land in Dynamics 365, and a useful note might end up somewhere completely different. By the end of this knowledge nugget, you'll understand how relationship intelligence pulls all those signals together. You'll spot relationship health, see communication patterns, and find possible warm introductions without jumping between 5 tools. Think of it as a relationship desk inside Dynamics 365 Sales. It watches who's talking to whom and whether the conversation is still alive. Why sales teams need relationship intelligence. So let's imagine you open an opportunity on a Friday afternoon. The amount looks solid and the close date is still ahead. The timeline shows several activities, so the record seems active. But here's the real question. When was the last time the customer actually replied? Suppose you sent 3 emails over 2 weeks and got no response. Maybe the last meeting was a month ago. Your colleague might have spoken to an important contact, but you'd never know because you only checked your own inbox. A CRM holds customer information, but information alone doesn't tell you if the relationship is healthy. For a long time, sellers filled that gap using memory alone. So A, searching their inbox, scanning their calendar, checking CRM notes, trying to remember who talked to whom. That works when you manage 5 deals, but when you're juggling dozens of leads, accounts, and opportunities, it breaks down. Small warning signs are the first to disappear. You might remember a great meeting from last month and feel good about the deal, while the customer has stopped replying. A manager sees an opportunity marked open and assumes you have a plan, when the next conversation hasn't even been scheduled. The record looks fine, but the relationship may not be. Think of the CRM record as a customer file inside a filing cabinet. It holds the company name, contacts, deal amount, notes, and logged activities. Relationship intelligence is like someone opening that file and asking, are we still talking to these people? Sure. And is the conversation going both ways? That question changes how you prioritize your day. Activity counts can fool you. 10 emails with no reply? That's not a strong relationship. Several internal tasks that never involve the customer? That's busy work. On the other hand, a short conversation with the right decision maker can move a deal forward more than a long list of unanswered messages. So activity needs context. You want to know if contact happened recently, whether the customer responds, and whether quiet periods mean forgotten opportunities. And when you're reaching out to a new lead, you want to know if someone in your company already knows them. Relationship intelligence brings those questions into the sales record instead of leaving you to piece together the answer from memory. Now, it won't predict every sale. It can't tell you why a customer changed priorities or lost budget. A number on a screen can't replace listening carefully during a real conversation, but it can point you toward the relationships that need attention. That means less time hunting through separate tools and more time deciding what to do next. Maybe you schedule a follow-up, contact a different person at the customer, or ask a colleague for background before reaching out. Behind those prompts sit 2 connected building blocks, and each handles a different part of the relationship story. What relationship intelligence actually is. So what exactly is relationship intelligence? Let me explain it in plain English. Think of it as a radar for your sales relationships. Inside Dynamics 365 Sales, this feature does 2 things. First, it shows you the health of a customer relationship. Second, it finds colleagues who already know someone you need to reach. Instead of digging through emails and call logs manually, you get a dashboard that reads all the communication tied to your sales records and turns that activity into signals you can actually use while you're working. Let's break that down into 2 core pieces. The first building block is relationship analytics and health. This piece watches the pattern of contact around a lead, contact, account, or opportunity. Instead of seeing a pile of separate activities, you see the shape of the whole conversation. That's the real difference. The second piece is called Who Knows Whom. This tool scans your company for coworkers who already have a connection with a lead or contact. So instead of starting from zero with a cold call, you can ask for a warm introduction. Much better, right? Here's what I mean. Imagine a normal sales week. You send an email after a discovery call. A customer replies with a question. Someone on your team schedules a meeting. A phone call gets logged in Dynamics 365. Each item looks small on its own, but together they tell a complete story about the relationship. Relationship intelligence reads that story for you. For basic insights, Dynamics 365 uses emails, phone calls, and appointments that people send, receive, or record in the system. Once a related activity is marked complete, those basic signals update close to real time. That means the picture depends entirely on activity being connected to the right sales record. Actually, let me clear this up. If a seller logs a call against the wrong account, the picture becomes less useful. If nobody records customer activity at all, Dynamics 365 has less to work with. The tool can organize communication signals, but it cannot fill in conversations that were never captured. That's just how it works. Some organizations also use enhanced insights. With the right Dynamics 365 sales license, setup, and server-side synchronization, relationship intelligence can pull information from both Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Exchange. Exchange is the service behind business email and calendars in Microsoft 365. In that setup, email and meeting information can add more context to the relationship picture. But here's the important detail. Enhanced relationship insights update every 24 hours, not right after each completed activity. That difference matters when you look at a record. Basic insights give you a view based on activity already in Dynamics 365. Enhanced insights can provide a broader view when exchange data is connected and your organization has set it up properly. As a seller, you do not need to memorize the technical setup, but you should know why one colleague might see more detail than another. It is not magic, it is just different data sources working behind the scenes. Now let me clear up a common misunderstanding. None of this replaces your judgment. A customer may reply less often because they are busy closing their fiscal year, not because the deal is failing. A quiet week may actually follow a very productive meeting. A busy email thread might signal confusion instead of progress. So do not treat a signal like a final answer. Use it as a reason to look closer. Imagine opening an opportunity before your weekly pipeline review. Instead of guessing whether the relationship feels active, you see the pattern of contact around that deal. Then you can ask a better question. Who should I speak with next? And what should that conversation be about? That is the real job of relationship intelligence. It turns normal sales communication into useful context inside Dynamics 365 Sales, so the record helps you choose your next action. Relationship analytics takes that context further by putting the conversation into views and measures you can read quickly. That brings us to our next piece. Relationship analytics, reading the conversation. Relationship analytics takes all the activity around a sales record and builds a picture you can read without digging through every email and calendar entry manually. You can use it on contacts, accounts, leads, and opportunities. Each record answers a slightly different question. A contact shows your relationship with one person. An account shows the wider customer company. A lead helps you see whether an early conversation has any life left in it. An opportunity lets you look at the people and activity connected to a possible deal. The goal is not to judge a seller by a number. It helps a seller notice where the conversation needs a closer look. That is the whole point. Start with the simple version called Basic Relationship Insights. It uses emails, phone calls, and appointments that have been sent, received, or recorded in Dynamics 365. Once someone completes a related activity, the measures update close to real time. So you finish a customer call and mark it complete. Soon after, that call becomes part of the activity picture for the related record. If you schedule a meeting, send an email, or receive one that is tracked against the customer, those actions build the history too. The quality of the view follows the quality of the records. If people link activities to the correct contact, account, lead, or opportunity, the picture becomes useful. If a team leaves calls unlogged or attaches meetings to the wrong place, the view can only report the information it receives. There is no substitute for good data entry. Some teams use Enhanced Relationship Insights instead. Enhanced Insights need the right sales license, admin setup, and server-side synchronization with Exchange. In plain English, Dynamics 365 can then use more email and meeting information from the business email system alongside the activity already inside Dynamics 365. That gives the sales record a wider view of communication. One practical detail to remember, Enhanced Insights update every 24 hours, so do not expect a message from 10 minutes ago to appear in every measure right away. Basic Insights respond close to real time after activities are completed in Dynamics 365, while Enhanced Insights work on a daily update cycle. That difference matters when you are checking on yesterday's conversation. So what can you actually see? One useful measure compares emails sent by your team with emails received from the customer. Imagine a seller sends 8 messages and the customer sends one short reply. That does not prove the deal is dead. The customer might prefer meetings or phone calls. Still, it asks a fair question. Are you having a conversation, or are you sending reminders into an empty inbox? The ratio can also point the other way. If the customer sends many questions and your team takes a long time to respond, the issue may sit on your side. The number does not tell you what to write next, but it can stop you from missing an uneven pattern. Then there is the relationship activities view. This view looks back across 60 days and sorts activity by date and type. You can see emails sent and received, meetings sent and received, and phone calls made and received. Instead of one total number, you see the rhythm of contact. A busy first week followed by 3 quiet weeks tells a very different story from regular meetings across the whole period. That gap matters. Maybe the customer asked for a proposal and nobody followed up. Maybe a meeting was cancelled and never replaced. Or perhaps the team agreed to pause until a certain date, which means the quiet period is expected. Relationship analytics shows the pattern while you bring the context. For some records, Enhanced Insights also include response time. This compares how long your sellers take to answer customer emails with how long customers take to answer yours. Slow customer replies can suggest low attention, but slow seller replies can create the same problem from the other side. A customer who waits 4 days for an answer may stop asking entirely. That is why response time is more than just a score. It can reveal a small delay in the sales process before it becomes a larger problem. A manager can spot a pattern across accounts, while a seller can look at one relationship and decide whether a reply needs to go out today. Another enhanced measure is hourly investment. This compares the time sellers spend with the time customer contacts spend around a record. Think about two opportunities. On one, your team has put many hours into calls, meetings, and emails, while the customer has spent very little time. On the other, both sides have joined meetings and kept the conversation going. Those are not the same kind of engagement. Hourly investment does not decide which deal will close. A short customer meeting can matter more than a long internal call, and some buying processes naturally take time, but it helps you spot where effort may be running in one direction. Opportunities can also show similar won deals when enhanced insights are available. Dynamics 365 can list closed won opportunities it considers similar to the current one. You look at activity counts, time spent, response time, and response ratio from those past deals as a reference. It is not a copy and paste sales plan. Every customer has different people, needs, budgets, and timing. Still, if previous wins usually involved regular meetings and fast customer replies, while your current deal has neither, that difference deserves attention. The activity views give you the evidence. Next, relationship health turns that evidence into a quicker signal for where your attention may belong. Oh. Relationship health. A warning light, not a crystal ball. The activity views give you detail. Relationship health gives you a faster way to spot where a relationship may need attention. Think of it like the warning light on a car dashboard. A warning light doesn't tell you exactly which part needs repair. It doesn't fix anything either. It tells you to stop, check what's happening, and decide what to do before a small problem becomes a bigger one. That's how relationship health works inside Dynamics 365 Sales. It gives the seller a simple view of the current condition of a customer connection. Dynamics 365 builds that view from the communication signals around the relationship, so our activity, how recent it is, engagement, and the sentiment inside those activities. Let's put those words into plain English. Activity means contact between your team and the customer. Emails, meetings, calls connected to the record. Recent contact asks whether that communication happened recently rather than months ago. Engagement looks at whether both sides take part. If your team keeps sending messages and the customer never responds, that pattern is different from a customer who asks questions, attends meetings, and keeps the discussion moving. Sentiment looks at the tone found in the recorded activity, adding another clue to the bigger picture. From those signals, Dynamics 365 can show relationship health as good, fair, or poor. Good means the relationship signals look healthy based on what the system can see. Fair means something may need a closer look. Poor means the record has signals that suggest the relationship could be at risk. Those labels help you sort your attention without making a final judgment on a deal. Imagine an opportunity where the timeline contains plenty of old emails. At first glance, the record looks busy, but there have been no recent customer replies, no new meeting, and no follow-up planned. The health may drop. That doesn't automatically mean the customer has rejected your proposal. They could be in a busy period, waiting for an internal decision or dealing with a delayed project. But now the seller has a reason to check the record instead of assuming the old activity means the relationship is still active. The direction of the health signal often tells you more than a single label. A relationship that stays good over time looks different from one that drops from good to fair during an important stage of a sale. In the same way, a relationship moving from poor to fair after a useful customer meeting may show that contact has started again. Watch the movement. A single score gives you a snapshot. The trend shows whether the relationship is gaining attention, losing attention, or staying flat while the deal moves through its stages. Sellers can see relationship health on opportunity forms, in list views, and in charts. That changes the daily work of managing a pipeline. Instead of opening every record one by one, you can scan for opportunities that need a closer look. A manager can also use those views during a pipeline review. Rather than asking only, "Is this deal still on track?" they can ask, "What changed in the customer contact? And what are we doing next?" The conversation becomes more specific. That's usually more useful for the seller too. Your Dynamics 365 administrator can shape how the score works for your organization. They can change the weight given to different activity types and set the expected level of customer communication. That matters because a sales team closing large projects over many months won't communicate in the same pattern as a team selling a shorter service contract. The health signal should fit the sales process. As a seller, your response stays practical. Open the record. Look at the activity story. Check who is engaged, who has gone quiet, and whether a next conversation is already planned. Then choose a real action. Send a focused follow-up. Call the person who owns the decision. Schedule the next meeting. Lock that next step in Dynamics 365. Then watch how the relationship changes after the customer response. Relationship health tells you where to look. It can't replace the conversation that brings a customer back into the deal. Oh. Who knows whom? Finding the warm introduction. A relationship health signal helps you care for an existing customer connection. But what happens when you need to reach someone new and don't know them at all? Most sellers start with a cold email. You find a lead, write a thoughtful message, and hope it reaches the right person at the right time. Sometimes that works. Often, though, the lead receives messages from many sellers every week, and yours joins a crowded inbox. Who knows whom gives you another place to start? It looks for colleagues in your organization who already have a connection with the lead or contact you want to reach. If Dynamics 365 finds a connection, it can show you the colleague's name and email address. You can then ask them for an introduction. Think of a new lead named Alex. You haven't met Alex, nobody on your immediate sales team has mentioned them, yet a colleague in another department exchanged emails with Alex or met with them before. Who knows whom can bring that connection into view rather than leaving you to discover it by chance during a hallway conversation. The goal isn't to skip relationship building, it helps you begin with context. Your colleague might tell you that Alex focuses on a certain problem, prefers a direct conversation, or already knows your company from a past project. That small amount of background can change the first message you send. For basic insights, Dynamics 365 uses emails and appointments recorded in Dynamics 365. It can suggest up to 5 colleagues who contacted that person, most often through those emails and appointments. Frequency drives those basic suggestions. If one colleague exchanged the most messages or attended the most appointments with the lead, that colleague is more likely to appear near the top. Phone calls don't shape those basic suggestions. Sis or Alchamua, person who spoke often by phone may not show up in the list. Enhanced Insights can use Dynamics 365 information along with email and meeting information from Exchange when your organization has connected it through server-side synchronization. In that case, the system considers both frequency and how recent the contact is. A colleague who spoke with the lead, often a year ago, may not be the best person to ask today. Someone who has a recent and regular connection probably has more current context, so recent contact carries weight too. Every seller sees the same suggested introducers for a particular lead or contact. That gives the team a shared starting point instead of a private list that changes depending on who opens the record. It also means you should still speak with the colleague before you act. A suggestion tells you that communication happened. It doesn't tell you whether the relationship feels positive, current, or appropriate for an introduction. The lead or contact can sit outside your Exchange organization. Your colleague works inside your organization. The person you want to reach may work at a customer or prospect company. Who knows whom searches for that link through the communication data available to Dynamics 365. A warm introduction still needs good manners. Don't treat a colleague's past contact as permission to use their relationship. Send a short note, explain who you want to meet and why. Ask whether they know the person well enough to introduce you. Ask whether there is anything you should know first. Maybe they introduce you, maybe they tell you the person changed jobs, the timing is wrong, or another colleague owns that relationship. All of those answers save you from an awkward first approach. Who knows whom doesn't turn a stranger into a customer? It helps you find the right human connection before you send the first message. Oh. A simple sales day example. Let's walk through a real day. Imagine you start your morning with a list of open opportunities sitting in front of you. Maybe a deal catches your eye because the relationship health score feels shaky or the recent trend has taken a dip. Instead of guessing what went wrong, you pull up that opportunity and look at the communication history around it. The activity timeline tells you there have been fewer customer meetings lately. You also notice that replies have slowed down, even though your team kept sending messages their way. That doesn't automatically mean the deal is dead, so it just means a generic just checking in email isn't going to cut it anymore. So you check the contacts connected to that specific opportunity. One person was in the earlier meetings and asked some detailed questions along the way, but nobody has reached out to them recently. You write a focused message based on that last open question they had, or you pick up the phone and ask if their team still needs help working through that part of the decision. Later in the day, a new lead shows up in Dynamics 365. You don't know this person at all, so before sending any cold email, you open who knows whom. The record shows a colleague who has communicated with that lead before. You message your colleague first, asking how they know them, whether an introduction makes sense, and what context would help. If they say yes, you start that first conversation with a real connection and a reason to talk, not just another message that could have gone to anyone. That's how these tools fit into an actual normal day. They don't choose your words for you. They don't run the sale on your behalf. They just help you spend your time on the next conversation that actually has a clear reason behind it. That's the whole point. Oh. Conclusion. Use the signals, then have the conversation. So relationship intelligence takes all that customer contact data and internal connections and turns it into useful context you can actually act on. But the seller still has to make the move. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, then check out the next knowledge nugget on Dynamics 365 sales building blocks and how they all fit together.